celebrating in style is really the only way to go. And the best way to do that is to celebrate with royalty. And nowhere else except in France is there more royal cheeses and most famous cheeses. So we picked 4 famous French cheeses that we thought really are deserving of their royal titles and their great flavor profiles. If you're gonna create a great cheese platter and celebrate, why not do it with some of the best, right? The first one is a cheese called Epoisses. This is a cheese that is sold in a small container like this, or we do oftentimes cut it behind the counter as well. It is washed and marked to Bourgogne. It comes from the Bourgogne region of France. It's rather stinky, it can have a little bit of sweetness to it. When it gets ripe, it literally will run across the table, and the easiest way to serve it would be with a spoon. It is wonderfully creamy, complex, full flavored. Oftentimes people think they're not going to like it because the aroma can be so strong and yeasty. However, when they taste it, it's a wonderful amount of like burnt nuts, milk, lactic creaminess, and definitely a little bit of meaty or substantial cheese to it. It's beautiful as well with its bright orange rind. Next, in stark contrast to that, is a goat cheese called Cornilly. It comes from France as well, the Loire Valley. It's kind of like a chevreau, but it's taller. It is, when it's fresh, it looks like it has no rind. It's very light, flaky, tangy, very crisp in the fresh goat cheese. As it ages, it shrinks because it's losing moisture. It will create a little bit of a drier, darker rind, and it will become stronger, a little more poignant in flavor, a little drier in texture, and it's got a little more tang to it, perhaps sharpness, definite goatiness. However, I really like it because I think it's a nice, little bit slightly different than some of the other creamy goat cheeses that perhaps are not quite as complex. This one has many flavors, and I like to watch it as it ages because it does change. Next is Comte. Now, you couldn't build a real cheese plate without Comte. This comes from the Comte region of France. They are huge 90-pound wheels. It takes 500 liters of milk to make just one of these. It is one of France's most famous cheeses and also one of the most widely consumed. The one we're featuring here is aged 18 months. It's really nice when it gets to that point because it's a little drier in texture. It's got more sweetness to it. It has more complexity, even a couple more of those crystals or that crunch in there. And it just has so much flavor to it. It's really one of those cheeses that you take a bite and then you go, I need some more of that. And you could snack on it all day. It really does well in cooking. Fondue, this is an essential too. Also, the traditional French sandwich of jambon ham, butter, and this cheese on a baguette is a classic as well. So give it a try, especially the 18-month, although we do carry it in a 12-month as well, and sometimes even a little more aged. Last is a grape blue cheese, a little less known than perhaps some of the more famous like Roquefort. It's called Bleu de Basque. It comes from the Basque region of France. Like Roquefort, it is made from sheep's milk. It's made from thermalized milk, so it is technically raw milk, although the milk has been heated, just not for as long or as high a temperature. That imparts, there's a lot of nuttiness, very distinct of the Basque cheeses, with some strength, beautiful bluing, a little bit of caramelization to it as well. It's slightly crumbly, but creamier than some, and not nearly as salty. Sometimes blues can be kind of salty, however this one is not. It's got a beautiful blue, kind of white bloomy rind, which is naturally formed as it ages in the higher humidities. And it would be a perfect end to this cheese platter, as you have three milks, with the goat, the sheep, and 2 cow's milks. This blue cheese really finishes it off with almost a dessert-like sweetness. So with the 4 of these, you can certainly celebrate with style and celebrate some of French royal cheeses.